Hi everybody and welcome to Eat Better Together. Today we are going to be doing one of my all-time favorite recipes. This is a recipe that's been adapted from one of my grandma's desserts that she used to always do. She really loved cherries, so she would use a cherry, but today we are going to be using peaches. We'll just go over the recipe really quick. This is a peach dump cake. It serves about 8 people, and our ingredients are 2 large cans of peaches or a different kind of canned fruit of your choosing. We're using 1/4 cup brown sugar, 1 teaspoon cinnamon, 1 tablespoon cornstarch, 1 box of yellow cake mix, 1 stick of butter, and then the directions are to preheat the oven to 350. Mix peaches, brown sugar, cinnamon, and cornstarch. Spread the yellow cake mix, drizzle melted butter, and bake for 45 minutes to an hour. So I went ahead and I have all of my ingredients out already. Today I'm going to be using a 9x13 glass baking pan. This is the best size that I've found for this particular ratio. You can half this recipe if you want, or you'll need a bigger baking pan if you're going to double the recipe. Alrighty, so I also have everything out. We have our 2 cans of peaches. I prefer to get the peaches with the 100% fruit juice, and then I go ahead and I drain it off since this is a drained peach that the recipe is calling for. I also have my scissors out, my spoon for spreading the yellow cake mix. This is our butter. We're going to go ahead and put that into the microwave and get it melting. We have a teaspoon for the cinnamon, and a tablespoon for cornstarch, and then a 1/4 cup for brown sugar. Alright, let's go ahead and get started by putting the oven to preheat at 350. So this recipe is very easy to get going, and you can just about always have it finished up before the oven is preheated. I have put our butter into the microwave for roughly 25 to 45 seconds. I generally just start with a lower time and then work my way up. I went ahead and drained the peach juice off. I don't throw this out. Sometimes I add it to the top of the recipe. It does add a nice caramelized texture to it. Or you can add it to a drink mix that you're making, or sometimes, especially in the summertime, I put it into ice cube trays, and then it can be used for smoothies. It can be used like a popsicle. There's lots of ways that you can utilize that without throwing it out. You've already paid for it when you purchased your peaches, so you might as well use it. Okay, so here we go. We've got 2 cans of peaches. And then we're going to add in our brown sugar. So it is important to note, I'm sure that you can see this, that the brown sugar is packed in there. This recipe does call for it, and most recipes when you're using brown sugar, it's a packed measurement, not a loose measurement. So we'll get that in there. Then we also have our 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. You can kind of spread that around just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and mix this in just a moment. And then I love cinnamon, so I add a heaping teaspoon of cinnamon. So it's up to your discretion. And I do want to note that the brown sugar is not 100% necessary in this recipe. It's just if you prefer the flavor. If you're trying to cut back on sugars, you can go ahead and leave that out. It's a great way to still have a nice, tasty dessert without increasing the sugar intake, since you are already using a fruit. Alright, so as you can see, I just go ahead and go straight in with my hands. It makes it easy for just mixing all that in. The cornstarch, I find when you just use your hands, it's so much easier to get that mixed in more evenly. And the cornstarch is used to thicken up the little bit of juices that you can see like around here. I drained the peaches pretty well, but you know, a little bit comes out still. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Gonna go ahead and wash my hands. Alright, so this recipe is almost done. We're gonna go ahead and take our cake mix, and I just like to pour it out just kind of all over the top. If you're using a smaller pan, you're going to want to use less cake mix than this. And if you want a thinner crust, more like a a cobbler rather than a dump cake, you can also use less cake mix and add in oats. Then I just use a spoon to spread it evenly over the top of the peaches. And there we go. We're almost done. Oh, there is the oven. It's all preheated. Go. And it doesn't need to be packed in. This is not a mixing instruction. It just needs to be just kind of spread over evenly. So now it's time for our butter. The butter's nice and melted. It's okay if it's not completely melted. We're going to start by just drizzling this over the top of the cake mix. This really gives us a lovely flavor. And again, if you're not wanting to add butter to this dish, then you can go ahead and utilize the juice. It does roughly the same thing, but you're not going to have that buttery flavor. But the juice does add a nice caramelized texture rather than the buttery flavor. Alrighty, so we are just about done with this. And we're to the end of the butter, so we're just going to add the last little bit here. There we go. And it's ready to put in the oven. So I make this recipe quite often, so I know that for my oven, I need to leave it in for an hour. Here we go. All right. Okay, it is just about ready to be pulled out of the oven. Timer's going off right now, and we will check it out. Oh, that is looking good. So there you have it. That is a peach dump cake. You can see the edges are just still boiling, just a little bit bubbling up. There you go, nice and golden brown on the top. Thanks everyone for watching Eat Better Together. I hope that you learned something new today and that you enjoy Grandma Betty's peach dump cake. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.